Why are my relationships not working out for me? Good question. Thank you for clicking. Um, okay, when people ask themselves this question, why are my relationships not working out for me? Like, what have I done? What more can I do? What am I doing wrong? What is there like else for me to know and do and learn? And what more can I put in? And then when you reflect on what things that happened and things that didn't happen, you always reflect on, like, if you have been asking those questions, and typically you would reflect in the past also in the same tone. What more could I have done? What did I do wrong? Where did I let this person down? Where was I not giving enough? Where did I not provide enough? Where was I unkind? Where was I a bit of a dick? Like, all of these things um, are all the same question. You're asking yourself the same question, and that is what you did. Um, Basically, you're taking the blame. Like, basically, you're saying that it's all on you. Um, what you're also doing is suggesting that a relationship is one-sided and you're responsible for the whole thing. Another thing that's going on when you reflect in this way is that you sort of ignore the reality of the situation, and you reflect in such a way that you believe that the reality could have been different had you contributed to it in a different way. So the key thing here is to stop asking yourself the question what you did wrong, because you didn't do anything wrong. There wasn't anything more that you could have done. There wasn't anything else that you could have provided. There wasn't like a single situation that if you'd been different in it, things would have worked out differently or for the better, or you wouldn't be sitting here asking yourself this question. There's nothing that you did wrong. You're enough. You provided more than enough. You did more than enough. You were more than enough, and you currently are more than enough. You currently are everything that you need to be. Everything that you need to be in a healthy relationship is in you right now. So it's not your fault that things went south. And personally, I think when going over or reflecting on past events only from your perspective, as though it was all your fault, or as though maybe you don't believe it was your fault, which is fine, but maybe even though you don't believe it was your fault, you still believe that you could have changed the situation. Like, you still believe that, well, if I had known what I know now, which is known as the hindsight bias, then I could have been a bit different then and things would be different now. Like, it's all, I don't know if you can like see what I'm trying to get at here, if I'm doing it right, but it's all the same thought. It's all part of the same thought loop, and it's a way for your brain to distract you from actually grieving what happened and what didn't happen, and it's a way for your brain to distract you from reality. So rather than reaching the point of acceptance, which is to accept exactly how things went down, they did not go down well, that's why you're not in that relationship anymore. That's the harsh, cold reality. It's a way for your brain to distract yourself from reaching that point where you can just accept that it's over and that's the way things go. And yeah, that I mean, I think that was very harsh the way that I said it. That was very harsh the way that I said it. But honestly, reality is harsh, and to be in denial about the way things were also can manifest in this sort of repetitive thought of thinking that there's something wrong with you, or that you could have done something better or something different, and sort of going down this like rabbit hole of over analyzing your own actions and your own contribution, to the extent that you then villainize yourself and sort of erase every good thing that you ever did. That's not healthy. Like, I'm sure you can see that. And it's not your fault that things didn't work out the way they did. You know, oftentimes people meet and they spend a certain amount of time together, and then that's it. Like, that's the cold, harsh reality. You know, it doesn't have to be so sad, and it doesn't have to drag out for an eternity. Sometimes things are just over. And I feel like, you know, anybody who, and I'm one of those people, if anybody who, like, over analyzes things to death, it's just your mind's way of not accepting the truth and not wanting it to be true that something is over. But it is over, and the sooner you realize that, the better. And a much better and healthier question to ask yourself, rather than why do all my relationships go wrong, is how do I feel? How do I feel? That's a better question to ask yourself. Ask yourself how you feel like right now when you're thinking these things. Maybe you're experiencing something right now that you aren't fully processing and you're being distracted by these endless thoughts. Or you can ask yourself how you felt in the situation that, let's say, you're repeating in your mind. How did I feel at that time? Because chances are you didn't actually process how you felt at the time. Maybe you might think that you were feeling okay on a day that a certain event took place or a certain exchange took place, but really upon further reflection, it could be that actually you didn't really feel very good about the situation at all, but you were just trying to tide things over. You were trying to keep the peace. You were trying to maintain an equilibrium that just was not sustainable without you overextending yourself. And so honestly, those relationships are better off in the past where they belong, and they should stay there. And try your best not to revisit things that didn't go so well from the perspective of blaming yourself. Because it takes two to tango, of course, and going over the same ideas over and over again won't get you any results. It won't make you feel any better. It will just keep you away from the point where you accept what happened. And a lot of times I think people get stuck in this because the way things ended or the way things turned out, they didn't actually get any closure, or there was no like loving or kind exchange to make you feel better about how things were, how they ended, or maybe you didn't get enough reassurance about, you know, your positive contributions. Maybe sometimes, you know, when people are mad, they say only bad things. Obviously, they're not going to say the best things to you, so it might skew your perspective of the past and of how things went down, and you might start to blame yourself further because you didn't part with good words or with kind words. And again, try not to over focus on that, because that was just a moment in time. And also a really important thing is to learn to accept the apology that you never got. Maybe somebody should have apologized to you, but they didn't, and the chances are they never will apologize to you. You'll never get that apology, so just accept the apology that you never got. Forgive them, forgive yourself. That's very important. If you're constantly wondering what you did wrong, maybe you have an issue with forgiving yourself. Just start by saying, I forgive you. And you're talking to yourself, of course, because the past isn't the past. Like, you know, if you're going to reflect on things, reflect on them in a healthy way that's going to help you build up yourself. It's going to help you be the best version of you. Do not reflect on yourself in a way that just drags you down and puts you in low vibe energy where you think that there's something wrong with you, or that you should have been better, or you should have been this, or you should have been that. At every single stage of your life, you have been enough. Just because you know more now, or you're more emotionally mature now, or you've experienced more things now, it doesn't mean that the you from 5 years ago, or the you from 10 years ago, or the you from 2 minutes ago was any less than you are now. You're always enough for where you're at and for what you're doing. And start to say that to yourself. Say to yourself, I'm enough. I don't need to think about this shit because I'm enough and I did enough and it went the way it went. what can I do about that now? Fucking nothing, you know? Focus on yourself. Self-development, self-betterment does not come with a side order of blaming yourself and looking at yourself through a negative prism. Look at yourself positively, like big yourself up for all the good things that you've done and thank yourself for dragging your ass through this life up until this point where you're at now. Say thank you to yourself and forgive yourself for any shortcomings. We're all multifaceted and we're sometimes pretty dope and we're sometimes pretty shit, and we're all like that. There's no such thing as a perfect person. You're not perfect. I'm not perfect. The people in previous relationships that you've been in with are also not perfect, and they never will be perfect, and neither will you, and neither will I, and neither will anyone else. So that's really what I wanted to get at today, that asking yourself the question of why are all my relationships going wrong is, in my opinion, it's the wrong question to ask yourself, because it won't yield any results. It won't change anything for you. It won't make anything better in your life, asking yourself what you did wrong or what went wrong or whatever. Accept that things are over and try to accept it from a very realistic standpoint. It wasn't good, so like why revisit that so frequently? Why put your energy into something that really wasn't good? And maybe, you know, trying, if you do believe something was better than it actually was, maybe do a couple of exercises in, you know, just having a reality check. And like I mentioned before, one of the best ways to do that is to just ask yourself, how do I feel? I think oftentimes we ignore how we feel at the expense of making sure other people feel really good, or feel okay, or that they don't feel bad. And we sort of just ignore the fact that we feel bad, or we try to minimize that, or just pretend that it wasn't as bad as it was. So in a way, like we'll smooth things over overall in the relationship, just to make sure that so that the relationship stays afloat. And also at the same time, what we'll do is okay, so I think what I was trying to say was that if you're like in the habit of smoothing things over, or trying to like maintain the peace, or you know, just keep the peace going, that action has nothing to do with how you feel. That action is only about maintaining an illusion of something going well. It's just an illusion. It's not a reality that things are going well. Like if you are sad on the inside, or whatever it is, or mad, or you have something to express but you can't express it, or every time you bring something up it gets ignored or rejected or whatever, to create peace on the outside is just an illusion. It's false, it's fake, it's not real. And so of course, like, things didn't work out. It wasn't fucking real, you know. And it's very important to ask yourself how you feel. How the fuck do you feel? Like, if someone isn't asking you that, that's fine, because you can ask yourself how you feel. You can check in with yourself. There was a phrase that I read the other day, that to quiet yourself so that you keep the peace on the outside, and in the situation that you're in, only creates a storm on the inside. And this is very true, because like you have so many things that are unexpressed, or I mean, you're just generally, you know, if things were going well, then they'd be going well today too. You know what I mean? Like, if you were really fucking happy, then you'd still be fucking happy today too. So that's what I wanted to say about that. And if you're in sort of this like headspace where you think that or that if you can't understand what went wrong, and you think, or you believe that you need to think on it more, and you need to analyze it more, and you need to look at it from different angles, the truth is that you're just going to think it to death, and you're not going to feel any better. It's an addictive behavior. Thinking things to death is an addictive behavior. It's just the same as substance abuse. Like, it's exactly the same. You know, the only difference is that you're not taking a substance, but what you're doing is you're just thinking about something, like you're trying to solve a puzzle that cannot be solved. There's no solving it, because it's not an issue that requires any more thought. It's an issue that actually requires emotional support that only you can give to yourself. It's not something that you can get external support for. It's something where you have to learn how to support yourself emotionally in a situation like this, and you have to be kind to yourself. You mustn't talk about yourself in such a negative way. I mean, only if it's constructive, but even constructive stuff like has a limit to it as well. And you must reflect on yourself positively. You know, you mustn't focus on things that went wrong so much, but focus on things that went right and big yourself up for that, and just accept that it's over. Just because it's over, it doesn't mean that it was your fault. It doesn't mean that it was the other person's fault. It just is. And that's something that requires a different type of energy. It requires energy from your heart space. It requires emotional energy. Like, the energy that your brain produces is not going to make you feel any better about the situation, and it's not going to provide a solution. It's not going to solve the problem for you, and it's certainly not going to take you back into the past and fix things. So recognize that it's an addictive behavior, and, you know, I'm sure you're very good at it because you've been doing it for a long time. But it's time to stop now. How is it an addictive behavior? It's an addictive behavior because what you're doing is handling the situation or the emotion and not like feeling it fully. So you're sort of just managing its level, its degree of feeling by thinking about things that provide no solution. It doesn't do anything to think about like these things so much. So that's what I mean by it's an addictive behavior. Much in the same way that, you know, somebody who has a substance problem would indulge in the misuse of whatever substance it is. It's to just manage the degree to which you have to process that emotion and that feeling of loss, or whatever it is. So that's why it's an addictive behavior. And let me know in the comments if you want me to talk more on this, which I'm gonna do anyway, but let me know what you want to know specifically about this. And don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the bell button for notifications so you know when I've uploaded a video. And I will try and come up with a schedule so I'm at least putting something out once a week. You know, so it's not like as random as this has been. So thanks for watching.